none of us work in isolation. We're all receiving from our teachers and our friends, and you and I have a teacher. We have lots of teachers. My experience is most of them are not authentic, but you can really tell the authentic teacher, and Wayne Teasdale was one of them. And what was your encounters with him? What was your experience? How does he
Well, I got to tell a
touch you?
story about Wayne that's actually secondhand, but it like sums him up. So Gordon, my husband, and I were in Dharamsala, where the Tibetan community lives in exile in northern India, just a little while ago. And we were meeting with some people who knew Wayne, and they ran a guest house there. And the woman, her name is Rin Chen, said of Wayne, this is a typical Wayne story. We had here a stray cat, and I told Wayne, you can't start inviting the cats inside. Don't feed the cats. Now, her home was up the hill from the guest house, so she could kind of look down and see what was happening. And she sees Wayne with a bowl of milk, and he's looking up to see whether she's looking, and of course he's got the cat in one hand and the milk in the other, and he brings them into his room and closes the door, because for him, he treated like cats and dogs and homeless people, everyone he met, with such love and such a curiosity. I mean, Wayne was a total innocent and a complete lover, and he valued everybody and everything with such an open heart. It's like totally unusual. And then, of course, he was this giant intellect. I loved his book, The Mystic Heart, where he was really saying, if you get to the basis of all the religions, beyond all the doctrine, beyond all the dogma, they're coming out of the same common ground. Or as you said, they're the sap. It's the sap that fills the tree, and that what is our deepest experience of being human? That's interspirituality. We can share this deep, deep thing that roots us all as human beings in the sacred. So there was a conference several years ago up in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I ended up being the MC of this interfaith conference. So there's Buddhists, and there's Hindus, and there's the Dalai Lama's brother TC, and then the Dalai Lama was part of that conference. There were local rabbis and Sikhs, and it was wonderful. And one of the speakers was Wayne. And here's the thing: this was in the last 6 months of his life. He was really, really ill with his cancer at that time. It was the last time that he really spoke publicly, and there was something about the transmission of his work, something about who he was as a human being, that infused, not me, it was really Gordy that he infused. And Gordy just felt somehow got to carry forward that work, got to carry forward that work. And I've known Wayne for years, but it was the first time Gordy had been with him. But you know how it is sometimes you've been meeting with someone and it feels like, I've known you forever and ever and ever, and that was the sense.
Yeah. So what do you make of the interspirituality? I mean, how do you understand that?
Well, first of all, it's really easily misunderstood.
Yeah.
We had an experience with someone lately who said, interspirituality, what is this, like an uber religion? That our religions aren't good enough, that you think this is better than the rest? And of course, that's not the intent. But it does show you how careful we have to be always with our language. Because, you think like, well, what does Judaism have in common with Christianity, have in common with Islam, have in common with Buddhism? And you got to say compassion. That's the bottom line in all of those. But interspirituality is even deeper than that. It's like when I tell my experience of being at my mother's deathbed and feeling that light that is all intelligence, that is all wisdom as I go into the light with her. Or if you listen to experiences of mystics from any tradition, they will all understand each other. They know that place.
Yeah.
And they say, there's a paradox here, that when you think about, is the universe a safe and friendly place? At that level, it sure is. At this level, no. There's, there's murder and there's cheating and there's horror. But at some deeper level, you can touch into something that feels more real than this. And that's my understanding of interspirituality, is we all share that. And we're all looking for ways to manifest that underlying compassion, that underlying interrelatedness, that underlying kindness to the world.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you define it?
Well, I like your definition. I was going to add a couple of things. Diogenes, what's that, like 2,500 years ago, says that it's not enough just to be an Athenian. You have to, it's not enough to be a Westerner. You have to also tap into the East, because it's all human experience. And I think that's part of what interspirituality is, that we realize that the religions are drawing from and pointing toward something that a universal ground or universal truth that we all share. And that we can look at the different religions as, one way I explain it to kids is I say, go into Baskin and Robbins. I did this once. I took a group of kids into Baskin and Robbins, teenagers. And I said, okay, we're going to get ice cream. And everyone got whatever flavor they wanted. It's 31 flavors at Baskin Robbins. And I said, we're eating that, all the ice cream. I said, now what's the flavor of ice cream? Someone had chocolate, someone had vanilla, someone had rum raisin, which is this disgusting flavor. And
I was just about to add that.
You do? You like that?
No,
I
hate rum
hate
raisin.
that. They're the heretics of ice cream. So, but what's the flavor of ice cream itself? There is no flavor of ice cream itself. If you went into Baskin Robbins and said, I'd like ice cream, they say, well, what flavor? Chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, mocha almond, which is my favorite. They can't give you ice cream. I think religions are like the 31 flavors, but they're all flavorings added to this other thing that has nothing we can really point to. So let me tell you one very short Wayne story, and how I knew that Wayne was who he said he was, or who his writing says he is. We were in Austin, Texas. We had dinner at somebody's house, and we went for a walk. And it was dark, and we were in this like a little park kind of area that was set up as public. You could walk through. We're walking through, and we walk into a snake pit, rattlesnakes.
Oh my!
And all of a sudden, it sounded like three.
Like a snake pit from a horror film. What's it like? A bunch
I couldn't
of
see. It was black.
Snakes?
It was, but from like 180 degrees, it was, the rattles going, and Wayne he didn't panic. He just, slowly just backed away. And I knew this because when I heard it, I pushed him forward and I ran away. I said, here he is. So, but he just didn't lose it. They were simply saying, Wayne, no closer, Wayne. You're going to make us too nervous and we're going to strike. And so I said, okay, then we'll just back away. But it didn't throw him. And it was such a beautiful thing to experience. And I got through it because I was with him, I think I would have totally panicked and run around like a mad person getting bitten by snakes. But it didn't throw him. He was comfortable at what I saw was an absolute moment of panic. You know what I'm saying? So he really was who he said he was, or who you and I are claiming he is. Phenomenal character.